Alright, so for the warm-up, it didn't really require any particular lesson. We just had to look through it. So, on our warm-up, it says you throw a ball straight up into the air and catch it at the same height you released it. The parabola at the right shows the height h of the ball in feet after t seconds. What is the total distance the ball travels? And for how long does the ball travel up? Alright, let's look at this. How far does this ball travel? What do you think?
20. Well, no, I didn't get to answer it.
You haven't even read it yet. What do you think, Adelia?
20 feet.
Why?
Because it's going up by 4.
It goes up to 20, right?
Yeah.
This is 20 up here.
And then 1 is 1 for 1 second.
Alright, so let's look at this.
Whatever.
Did it start at 0 though?
No.
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 How much is this when it traveled?
Traveled up
16.
16 feet.
It went up 16 feet, but doesn't it also travel on the way back down?
Yeah, for sure.
So how much is that total if it's 16 up and then 16 down?
32.
32.
One.
The ball travels for 32 feet.
Ashlyn!
You okay over there, guys?
Yeah,
You better pay attention. Remember, I got rid of you guys' strikes from last week, but I'll put them back in again.
You can't do
Alright.
that.
Yes, I can. Okay, second question. How long does the ball travel up? What do you think? What do you think, Ashlyn? How long does the ball travel up?
Damn it.
I'm gonna look.
Okay, because?
You turned it off.
Because what?
I don't. What do you mean? Because, like, it travels up.
Speak.
Let me try it.
I don't know, I got it wrong.
Alright, how long does the ball travel up? What do you think, Irene?
1.
Because? How do you know it's 1?
Because at the highest,
Yeah.
it's at 1.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Why not 2?
Because that's the slowest.
Alright, you're right. It is 1 second.
I don't know.
Because after 1 second, it gets to our vertex, the very highest, right? Is it traveling up over here, or is it traveling down?
Down.
It's traveling down.
Travel-
It travels
travel down,
up for 1 second, and the other second it travels down. It travels 2 seconds total, but only 1 second up. It was kind of a sneaky question.
That was pretty sneaky, Loki.
I know, man.
Pretty
Alright.
dang sneaky.
There you go.
So,
You got me out.
for this lesson, it's actually going to be similar to last week's. We're going to find the axis of symmetry and our vertex, but this time around, we're not going to use graphs to find it. We're going to find it just by the equation. The first one is going to have a graph just so we can look at it, but after that, there's no graphs. Okay, so we are going to find the axis of symmetry on this parabola right here. And we can just look at it, right? And see our axis of symmetry goes through right here, right? At x equals 5. Because if that's right in the middle, it's the same as the x in our vertex. If you look at this, our vertex is at what? Oh no, not 5. That's a not 5. That was a 5, but it's 3. My bad, 3. I saw the 5 right there. 3. There. And this graph is kind of hard to see. It's at 1, 2, 3. So my vertex is here at 3, -5, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. So we know that this is my axis of symmetry and this is my vertex. But we're going to look at our equation. The equation for this is x squared minus 6x plus 4. We're going to look at this equation and find our axis of symmetry without looking at this graph. So the axis of symmetry is the line our points are reflected across, right? That line right in the middle. Well, to do that, we need to look at our equation, and we need to set it up with A, B, and C. We need to set it up with A, B, and C. And there's actually a little formula to help us find our axis of symmetry. That is -b divided by 2 times A. And don't forget, axis of symmetry always needs x equals because it's a line. Okay? So it's going to be -b divided by 2 times a. We don't really care about c right now. It doesn't matter. So on this equation, a is going to be what?
X squared.
What number is in front though?
1.
1. Remember, a, b, and c are the numbers. So a is 1, b is, we got to be careful, -6, and c is 4. We don't really care about c right now, but eventually we'll like it. Alright, so it's negative b over 2 times a. So I'm going to go negative 6 divided by 2 times a is 1, right? Alright, we'll go through here. Ruben, what's a negative? Positive, right? Positive 6 over 2 times 1 is 2. And it's really easy. 6 divided by 2 is 3. And because it's axis of symmetry, rho equals x. It doesn't matter if it's x equals or equals x, it's the same thing. Which we found just by looking at our graph, right? So we know we did this right. So axis of symmetry is negative b divided by 2a. Yeah, Moses, you got a question?
What's that little mark before the -6? Is that
That's a negative 6.
So it'd actually be a positive
Yeah,
6?
because negative and negative make a positive, yeah?
How'd you get the 2 times 1?
That's just part of the formula. It's over 2 times a,
2 times
a was 1.
Okay. So C doesn't matter.
No, c doesn't matter, not for today. Eventually we'll like c, but not for today. So you can just ignore c. He's going to just kind of be off on his own, chilling. Feeling sad because he's not useful right now. Alright, so we're going to practice finding some axis of symmetry.
Okay, that's all?
Axi of symmetry? Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright, let's look at this one. X squared minus 4x plus b. So let me write this down. Negative b divided by 2 times a, right? Alright, so in this I have a, b, and c. A is going to be what, Greg? Let's say.
1.
Kinsey, what's b?
Negative 4.
Yep, negative 4. Don't forget b is the negative 4. Right? So we're going to fill this in. Magi, what's this going to look like when I fill in my formula here with numbers?
You're gonna go -4. Where is it? Negative.
Negative 4.
Yeah. Then you're gonna go over 2 times uno a.
Alright. And then we just got to go through and simplify this real quick. Adelia, what did we say a negative was? Yeah. So positive 4 over 2 times 1 is 2. And we divide it out and we get 2. Luis, what do I need to add in on my answer here? Yep, we need our equals x. If we don't have the equals x or x equals, it doesn't matter the side, it is technically wrong. Maybe. Oh, I thought it was... Alright, I'll give you a second. Alright, first day in class problem, find the axis of symmetry of this one on the box. That's part of the formula. So it's divided by 2 times a. It's just part of the formula. So it's always going to be divided by 2 times whatever it is.
What'd you get?
Correct.
What'd you think?
2 times negative 2, yep, on the bottom. There you go.
Negative 2? Okay. And then negative equal, and then these are negative positive, right?
Yep.
Positive 8, right? And then this would be negative 4. That's how we do it. I got, oh, I understand?
Divide it out, see what you get.
I got negative
3.
I know you can do
2.
this.
Go team.
Yeah.
What'd you get?
Equals -2 equals x.
C is something else, actually.
Go team.
Alright.
Why you doubt yourself, kids?
I'll give you 30 more seconds, then we'll have somebody do it on the board for us. That's for funsies.
I don't know if I'm saying it right.
What do you mean?
What'd you get?
Oh yeah.
You know.
I guess that's cool.
You gonna go cheer on for your girl, Louise?
Probably not.
Okay. What? Okay, I got this one.
Yeah?
Is that right?
You braid your hair.
No, that's not braidable.
Not quite.
What
Divided by 2 times a.
about your hair,
C.
man? Nah, actually.
A is positive.
Don't call me that.
So negative 2. So 2 times negative 2.
That guy.
Only family members call me that. Jason now called me Maze.
Negative 2, right? Divided by 2 times a.
Good one, Ivory.
what it was about.
You did.
Do you know you're a rhino fan? Oh, yeah, we don't.
We don't need C right now. Yeah, it doesn't matter right now.
And then
Please ignore it.
then what?
I like
You
it.
told me to.
Yeah.
That's what we find out. What's a negative negative?
That's too.
Alright, Kinsey, just on the board for us. Alright, Kinsey's doing this on the board for us. Make sure you check your answer thirds.
Then simplify it.
Yeah, well, yeah.
that's the.
But what's a
Two different twos. That's
Why are you just that 2000 that negative to me?
that one's a real problem. Mark your three times negative. So that's a positive two.
Yeah,
Negative two.
No, there's not any use to it.
Alright, nice job, Kinsey. We get negative 2 equals x, or x equals negative 2.
All my teams lost.
Huh?
None of them are in still.
Yours?
Alright, not too bad for this first part.
Too many upsets.
So, we found the axis of symmetry. We're also going to find the vertex, which is
Purdue
a little more work, but not super tough. Hey, Giant. I gotta tell you to be quiet again, strike. Alright, so we are going to also find our vertex. So this is the same problem we did as an example. And if I'm going to look at my graph, I know for my vertex, my answer has to be 3, negative 5, right? I know that's going to be my vertex. Well, we are going to find it without looking at the graph. The graph is just here so we can check our work. Alright, I have y equals x squared minus 6x plus 4. So my vertex is an x comma y. And what do you know about the axis of symmetry and the vertex? They're related, right? How are they related?
X's are the same.
X's are the same, right? So when I look at my vertex, my first part is going to be the same. It's going to be negative b divided by 2a, right? Yes, because it's an x comma y. The second piece we get by taking the negative b divided by 2a and plugging it into our equation and solving it for y. So we're going to take this negative b divided by 2a and we're going to plug it in for our x up here and we're just going to solve it. So it's like an evaluate.
Wait.
So, I know that for my vertex, I know that my x is going to be 3. We did this already. This was our first example. We did negative 6 divided by 2 times 1, right? And we got 6 over 2, which is 3. That was our first example. So that is the x in our vertex. To find our y, we're going to take this 3 right here, and we're going to plug it in for every x in our equation. And then we're just going to solve it. We're going to take my 3 and plug it in.
I'm so confused.
Yeah.
Okay, so 3 is the axis of symmetry, right? We did that. This was our first example. If you look back on that top right slide, this was the first example. We did negative b over 2a, we get 3. Okay, same as the x in the vertex, right? Okay. To find y, we're going to take this number 3 that we found from the x in the from the x for our axis of symmetry and the x in our vertex, and we're going to plug it in to the equation up here for x. So instead of seeing an x, we're going to plug in 3. So it's going to be 3 squared minus 6 times 3, and then a plus 4. So I'm going to have a 3 squared minus 6 times 3 plus 4. And I'm going to put it, when I do this, I'm going to put it in parentheses just to make sure that, remember Desmos and all your calculators aren't very smart. If you don't put it in parentheses and this number right here is negative, you're going to get a wrong answer. So I'm going to try to, from now on, I was kind of thinking about this earlier today. From now on, I'm going to try to always put things in parentheses when I replace them with numbers. Okay. So I'm going to go through, and we can plug this straight into Desmos, or let's just do it together. Let's see, 3 squared is 9, minus 18 is negative 9, plus 4 is negative 5. That is the y in our vertex, negative 5.
So it'll be 3. Oh.
Yeah, 3 comma negative 5. So, if we graph it, we can just look at our graph. But if we aren't given the graph, that means we got to do it by hand, which is doing these two things. Do your negative b over 2a, and then plug that into your equation to find the y. So it's not super tough. It's just, you got to remember the negative b over 2a and all that. Okay, so we're going to go through and we're going to find the vertex on both of these. And I believe these are the same as you just did, right? That's real quick. We'll do the negative b over 2a. So negative 4 over 2 times 1, positive 4 over 2 equals 2, right? Alright. We did this before on a couple slides ago, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. Alright, that is the first thing. We found the x and our vertex is 2, exact same as axis of symmetry. Now I'm going to take this 2 and I'm going to plug it in for each x up here. I'm going to plug it in for each x. So I'm going to have y equals 2 squared minus 4 times 2 plus 1. You can plug this straight into Desmos, not the y equals, but everything after it. Straight to Desmos, or I just like doing it in my head because it's kind of annoying to go back and forth. 2 squared is 4, minus 4 times 2 is 8, negative 4 plus 1 is negative 3. So my vertex is at 2, comma, negative 3. And that's it, my vertex. It's not super tough as long as you remember your formula. And then you remember to get your y, you plug it in.
Oh shit. Okay.
Alright, next in-class problem, I want you to find the vertex of this one in the box. And I'll give you a hint, you already found the x. It was the same as your last in-class problem. Because they're the same problem, right? You just found the axis of symmetry last time. This time we're finding the vertex.
What do you? Oh, yeah,
So I'll give you a hint. The x we already found. Same as our axis of symmetry.
Yeah.
wait, but don't you still have to
Simple
do
meaning
the divide?
confused.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I was just wondering if that was supposed to like, go wrong and I understood that.
Okay, I don't know how to do it. Wait, I'm doing it.
Alright, so you found x in the vertex, right? Okay, okay. Alright, let's do this together, because a few people are still confused. Okay, if you got it, just keep working on it. Okay, so we found x is the same thing as axis of symmetry, right? We get negative 4. To find the y in our vertex, take negative 4 and replace it with x up here. You just have to replace x with negative 4. So when you plug this in, you are going to get negative 2 parentheses negative 4 squared minus 8 negative 4 minus 3.
How'd you get negative? Yeah, negative 2 under 8.
Oh yeah, yep. You're right. You're right. My bad. My bad.
So it'll be negative 2, right?
Yeah, it'd be negative 2. My bad.
Okay.
I mean, I was testing you. I was testing you all. Nobody got it. I'm so disappointed.
Wait, so
But
this
you
is
told me before, that's another problem.
Okay.
Told me that on another problem.
All right.
Wait, what about the
No.
x for negative 2?
Ah,
Yeah, I got
missed that.
My bad. I typed it in wrong. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
All right. There we go. All right. Yeah. Plug in negative 2 now. Sorry. My bad. My bad. Happens to the best of us.
Effort.
Okay, now I got 5.
Wait.
I'm not a good round.
Okay, I put too much effort into this.
Oh man.
Okay.
This is easy stuff. Yeah.
Just text effort.
Wait, okay. Is this one, is that right?
So I'll have to go through some more lessons.
No, it's good. Because that's positive 4,
Yeah.
negative 2
So it would be negative 2, 5?
Yes.
Oh, I got it wrong.
You need somebody about the rest of you.
Bam.
There you go.
You forgot the negative 2 in front right here. It's a negative 2 times that.
What
Oh,
would
I see. No, no, okay.
How
You have to square it and then times it by negative 2.
What do you mean?
Yeah.
You have to just get
Because
x by
I-
first.
Okay, so let me see.
Did you get what? You not having enough money? So you get
So you replace it, right?
No.
We have negative 2, negative 2 squared, minus 8, negative 2.
Plug it in.
Okay. We have to do this.
Like this.
This, yeah.
Right here.
Remember PIMDOS?
You forgot the square.
Parentheses, exponent, negative exponent.
That gets us positive 4. Negative 3 times.
I'm getting my feeling back in my mouth.
Actually, that'll be plus 16. Minus 3. Because it's a negative, negative.
I should have pierced it.
Keep going through negative 8.
I should have pierced my nose.
Ew.
Or you could just plug this straight into decimals, just like you see it.
I don't do all that currency, so all I do is just this.
What'd you get?
Okay, man.
That should be a plus right there. That should be a negative 8 plus 16. Go Gary! Okay, I don't have any. We're gonna talk about it. We're gonna talk about it.
Hey, what's blitz mode on?
Alright, let's go over this one. Let's go over this, then we'll keep going.
Some LT.
Okay,
Yeah, exactly.
so you can plug this piece right here straight into Desmos and it will give you an answer. So I'm doing it a piece at a time just because I'm feeling lazy and I don't want to go back and forth between Desmos. So if you plug it into Desmos, it'll get you an answer, which is great. You plug this in and what do you get? Oh, let me pick somebody random. What do you get, Moses?
Negative 2,
Yeah, and then
5.
5. We plug this straight in and we get 5. So the y in our vertex is 5. So negative 2, 5. Amen. Alright, let's do one more since you guys are having a little trouble, or you guys are still working on that one. Let's do this last one right here as another in class. So I want you to find both this time. I want you to find the axis of symmetry and the vertex. So on your own, find axis of symmetry and vertex.
Yeah, I know how to do this first part, but then when you do the one back stuff.
Just what you do right here.
That's why you don't forget.
No, I just copied it from the board.
What?
So I just don't know how
Is
to
that what you
get
did?
it into.
Plug this right here into Desmos.
I know.
Let's use this one. I thought we'd not. God's child.
I wasn't doing it because I didn't want to flip back and forth on the screen.
No, you just want to sing on
That's the only reason.
So I want you to find axis of symmetry and vertex on your paper. Axis of symmetry and vertex?
Oh,
Yeah, remember, the x and the vertex. are the exact same. We're not on that one yet.
This is what you made me drink.
We're gonna talk about this.
It's gonna be just
No, not right now. Not thinking about that. But where's your y? What's your y for your vertex?
My
Called
what?
the AOS.
It's negative 1.
Oh, then it should be negative 1
Axis of
comma.
symmetry.
I know, but how do we know? Is that what we've been doing?
Axis of steel. I got this.
So they can be the
I wasn't
same.
even like,
Rise of steel.
What'd you get?
which one do we do?
Yeah,
bro.
because what's a negative times a negative?
Regular.
Yeah, they're going to be regular.
I'm not. Nigga, I'm older than you.
What's the, hang on, send that. So what's the
You're on a
formula?
mic.
Negative b over 2a, right? Okay.
Wait, 4
So-
divided by 2. When I divide
Just
by
6.
2.
Okay, so negative 6.
Wait, what? It's a plus.
That's enough for everybody.
Because your formula is negative 2.
So the negative 6.
Because b is positive. I actually thought the formula is negative.
Almost
b.
60.
It's positive 6.
So yeah, just put it in.
He must have my
That's the formula. That's part of the formula. It's divided by 2. You wrote it backwards, but it's the same. It's the same. So that's always going to be your formula. So you're always going to have a 2 plus and a negative 6.
You're born in 2003.
You probably have more than us too.
This is always going to be a negative.
How much you have right now?
It's always going to be a negative.
Ruben would be always 65.
Not the one that-
It's just like 6 is already in there.
Oh, so it's
Alright,
always
so
like-
your axis is symmetry. Let's go equals x, right?
God.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, vertex. First piece. What's the first piece?
Negative 6 times negative 6 is 36, right?
Negative 6 over 6 would be
Oh my god. Yeah. Sorry. I always do that.
Take negative 1.
I got one on the side.
Oh, okay, so, see, I don't know how to do that. That's the thing.
Go here.
Do you need your money from me?
Oh, no, you put it in those. Okay, then that's
Substitute x, negative 6, x. Okay, there's no way.
Say you're rich. Yeah, I'm getting this shit just
I'll make it just wait for the answer.
less rusty.
We need to
Yeah, yeah.
I'm still wearing rusty. I don't know how to do this.
Okay, so your axis is a degree, negative 1, right?
Hey, please don't help me.
Negative 1.
I'm your perfect.
Because it's an x comma y.
Because it's a negative
Every time,
Hey,
didn't you already find the x? Bro, remember, the AOS is the same as the x and the vertex. That's negative 1. Okay, find y. Take a negative 1 and plug it in for these x's.
So I'll just write it out like this.
Then,
Guys,
Yeah.
need help.
Don't play.
I haven't been on my notes.
3, negative 1.
Put this piece right here.
Plus 6.
So every time we get put for the x, put it
Thank you.
As long as you type that in. Pretty sure. Alright. Alright, let's go over this. So you guys are gonna help me out a little bit on this one real quick. Won't take us too long, I don't think. Alright. Adelia, start us off. What is my axis of symmetry gonna equal? Like, what's my formula for it gonna be?
It's gonna be where it's gonna be negative 6,
Uh-huh.
3 times 2
Yep.
equals negative 1 equals x.
Yep. Okay, so my axis of symmetry is negative 6 over, Adelia did 3 times 2 instead of 2 times 3, but that's fine, it doesn't matter. And then to find our vertex, we already found one piece of our vertex. And what's the piece we already know, Ivory?
The x.
Yep, which is negative 1, right?
Yes.
Okay. Luis, how are we going to find the y in our vertex? Luis, Luis, how are we going to find the y in our vertex? Maybe I should take that Chromebook. Give me a nice little crusty calculator.
Oh.
Yeah. How are we going to find the y in our vertex?
Oh, okay. Yeah. Totally.
Yeah, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Wanna come teach me?
Hey, Josh. Yeah, that's why I called on you. You weren't paying attention. Okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take this negative 1 we just found. We're going to take this negative 1 we just found. And we're going to plug it in to each x up here. So we're going to replace x with negative 1. So if I replace x with negative 1, what's it going to look like, Luis? So it's not going to be a 3x squared. It's going to be a 3 what? He's got the. Let him answer.
Okay, I'm helping my operation out.
No, he's got to figure out how to do this.
27.
Okay. So we're going to replace x with negative 1, Luis.
Wait, say that again.
We're going to replace x with negative 1. Okay. So I'm going to go 3, and then I'm not going to go x. What am I doing instead? Yep. And I'm going to put it in parentheses, and then squared, and then keep going.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. What else is it going to look like? Keep going. Keep going, Luis.
Wait. What do I do after that?
Keep going. Are we done writing down everything?
No.
No, just
wait.
keep going.
May I help my young apparition out?
Yeah, dude, what?
Apparition?
Yeah, no.
Apparition means ghost.
Oh, I meant my disciple.
No. Yes, it's not the cycle of Magi.
Yes, it is, man.
Alright, so Luis, we're gonna go plus 6, and instead of x, what am I putting in here, Luis? -1. Yep, and then plus 2. And we can plug this straight into Desmos. And Magi, what do we get when we plug it in?
That's too much effort, dude.
Did you not do this?
No.
That was awesome.
We get -1, Magi.
Dude.
I'm still doing it, don't tell me.
It's too late. Well, alright, we're gonna do one last example, then that'll be it for today. Okay, last example. On this one down here.
This one's gonna turn into like.
Go key, get -1.
Not quite. Close. We do. Okay, on this one, I have y equals 3x squared plus 5. What's A, what's B, what's C? Let's start with the easy one. What's A?
3.
A is 3.
Squared.
Alright, what is this 5?
C.
5 is C. Do I have a B in here?
No.
If you don't have something, then it's automatically 0.
Oh, dang.
0.
So on this one, I have an A and a C. I don't have a B. Remember, A is by the x squared. C is just the number off on its own chilling. And B is by the x. There's nothing by just a plain x, so that means it's 0. So for my axis of symmetry, it's going to be -0 over 2 times 3, which is really just 0, right? And that's also the x in my vertex. Oh, I forgot my equals x. And I got my x in my vertex is 0. I plug 0 in for this x. And I just get 5.
Nice.
So be careful. If you don't see a B, it's 0. And not that it matters right now, but if you don't see a C, it's also 0. C will matter a lot more in a couple lessons. But right now, we just kind of ignore him.
How many lessons?
Shove him in the corner. Well, it'll be after spring break, so.
Wow. One lesson. Just 3 or 4.
Alright. Let's save you guys a little bit of time. Let's skip this one.
Go
If you
keep-
did it, you get decimals, but
I have a question on this
Yeah.
one. Okay, so when I figured out, it was 4 over 6, and would
Uh-huh.
if you divide that, you would get 0.6 repeats.
Uh-huh.
But how would you?
We just
Just-
round it.
yeah, just
It's a
point
Just
6.
round it?
Yeah, 0.6 or 0.67. Yeah, that's fine.
I got the same.
You just get decimals, that's all. Alright, do your exit ticket, and then I will put your homework on Google Classroom.
the extra ticket.
What?
Can I use the restroom after I do the extra ticket?
After you put it in Scrabble? Sure. Alright, do your exit ticket, put it in Scrabble, and I'm going to put your homework right on Google Classroom.